Join us for a review of the all-new VW Golf 8 GTI. Let's go. Here in the front, the new Golf generation in general has a new headlamp design, and when you have a GTI, you can see here this red stripe that goes all around the vehicle, and also the daytime running light below that has a middle part here, so that's a very nice idea together with the GTI logo here. Headlamps start standard also from the main headlamp unit with LED, optional the matrix LED, and they call it IQ Light, that's their brand name for it. Then also the GTI has the stronger lower spoiler here with this span right there, the honeycomb structure in here, and this is the activated fog light. So this looks really spectacular. I think a nice unique feature. The length is at 4 meters 28, 14 foot 4 or 168 inches. So not a big difference to the previous generation. Typical Golf dimensions. Yes, this time I went in from the front. I know there's the famous guessing game from which side I always enter the stage. And here the typical Golf shape with the characteristic very strong C-pillar, dropping line here at the height of the door handles right there. Wheels, they start from 17 inch with the GTI, optional goes up to 19 inch, and you can see these are also indeed the top 19-inch wheels, look really massive in this little bit twisted two-color scheme. Then the stronger lower spoiler right here, GTI badge. The color for today is called King's Red Metallic. There are also other colors available. For example, we also have a white vehicle for you there today. The new Golf generation is a little bit more aerodynamic than before, and it also gets a new tail lamp design. In any case, looks pretty modern. The GTI then, the typical GTI badge with a new lettering. And in the lower part here, a contrasting sporty bumper and two real exhaust tips. Finally with the Golf, no job for the Autogefuehl fake exhaust police. So for the Golf GTI in this 8th generation, you don't have a gas strut. You have to put it up yourself. But they say this is also something for pedestrian safety, because it would be safer for pedestrians when this one is down, there's no gas strut, then popping this hood up potentially. Interesting. Then engine here, 2-liter TSI, the turbo petrol engine, 245 horsepower, so like the GTI performance version in the Mark 7, the Mark 8 gets here 245 horsepower, 370 newton meters of torque. 6.3 seconds is the acceleration figure to 100 kilometers or 62 miles an hour. And if you're now very clever and say, wait a minute, it isn't faster than before, even like 0.1 seconds slower, yes, due to the updated particle filters and emission laws and so on, but there won't be any felt difference acceleration-wise. Beautiful seats. Look at that. The classic structure here, you know, for the GTI, the typical, yeah, there are different names for that, how you call it. In Germany, we say GTI Caro, for example. Well, and then you can see the integrated head restraint for the sport seats. This is the standard GTI seat now. That's really, really cool. Well, maybe a GTI, you know, stamp or something, that would have been cool there. But indeed, I mean, it looks unique. It has the typical GTI style. Then some microfiber inserts right there for a little bit more grip. Contrast stitches. So this looks really fancy. And I think it's also good that you can buy this GTI as it is from works. You don't have to add more options to make it really fancy, you know. And the comfort of this sports seat is also really top-notch in general. In the new Golf 8 generation, more comfort for the seats. There are these new Ergo Active comfort seats. They are also pretty cool. But here the sports seats, sometimes sports seats look cool, but are not that good in comfort. Here it's actually both. You have a little bit more shoulder support here. And for tall adults, it works very well. Here for manual pumping it up, y'all, that works. And when I pump it all down, y'all, then still a lot of headroom left. With 1.86 or 6.1, a panoramic roof would optionally be available also for the GTI. Now the interior overview, characterized first of all soft touch dashboard, and then design lines here, and again this honeycomb graphics on there, horizontal layout from these air vents here. Then a normal Golf in base in the 8th generation would start 8.25 inch. This here is the bigger 10 inch screen, standard for the GTI. And left side, 10.25 inch digital gauges, so more deals to each of those screens. Again, the steering wheel setup here, I think sometimes the logo here is a little bit too dark. You can hardly read it. Not sure if it's me. I think the graphic here, the GTI graphic in the lower part is really cool. But then again, there we go. So steering wheel heating, this in 3 levels. That's actually quite cool. And then you press this one button. There's just one button, but then with different fields. And here, for example, you can change something in the digital gauges, zoom all to the views. And then you can also slide on here. So both is possible. And on the lower part, you also slide left and right for next song, or you press it then for the next song. And on the left side, this is even a little bit more complicated to set the cruise control on, ACC deactivated or to activate it. And then plus and minus is like a small press for 1 and deeper press for 10 kilometers. It's really hard to control while driving. And then here is the distance, and sometimes you just slip with your finger and then you're somewhere there and there all over the place. I can just say, if product managers by VW watch this, just go again with normal steering wheel. I mean, you save money when you just have one button, but it's not a step forward. Otherwise, very cool steering wheel, you know. This, however, still in animal skin wrap, by the way, but they're also developing alternative materials for that. Then on the middle part, you still have 4 capacitive hotkey buttons for the climber, and then mode for the DCC. This is very interesting. Soon more details when we talk about the screen. One more in advance here is that we have the temperature sliders left and right, and also the volume slider, and even that again hard to control that while driving. Here you can also reset the consumption meter right here. It's easier to do it here than actually now in the digital instruments. But what I want to show you as well are the driving modes here for the DCC. Sports mode, comfort, eco. This will decrease the throttle input. This will increase the throttle input. Also make the shifting crisper, turn up the gears higher. And also the DCC, dynamic chassis control. Here in the comfort mode, it will be very soft and comfortable. In the sports mode, it will be the fastest setup. If you want to drive the fastest, have best performance, then you would put this one. However, now there's also the individual mode available. And in this individual mode, you can tune that even finer. So what we can do here, you see there's a new, wider span available. This would be the comfort setting. This would be the sport setting. You see there's a lot in between that. And you can even tune that further if you want it even more comfortable, even softer than comfort. Rather go into like a normal Golf DCC setup, then you would go even to the minus position. Or you say you don't want best performance, best speed, but just want the suspension to be even stiffer, because when it's the stiffest way, then the rear axle will be even lighter, because you will, let's say, when you drive really extreme, you will maybe even lose traction at the rear axle, and it becomes, very light in the rear. You can, almost drive it rear wheel alike and so on. Very interesting, definitely to try around that on a racetrack. And then you can also set here steering, drive, and engine sound, and so on. You can fine-tuned that very well. So very interesting what I've done here. Usually you would use sport and comfort mode. Yeah, but maybe from time to time you want to experiment a little bit with the other stuff. The virtual instruments. Here we go with the special GTI styling in red and also with this background. And you can also change the view. For example, I want to have it look like this. Or if you rather prefer the map all over the place. So this is really helpful for navigating then, of course. And you can also individually tune what do you want to see left and right. Yeah, so you can play around with that quite a lot. Now to the rear. Let's see. In the rear we have hardpack. Yeah, for the price of a Golf GTI, I would have wished this was, that was soft touch as well. But the lower part then is actually quite nicely done. And also again, they have the nice, unique seating design here with the contrast stitches, and also the racy checkered structure. Yeah, there we go. And seating test, of course, legroom wise, this is a compact hatch. The wheelbase is not too long. It does directly fit here with my knees. It's okay. Maybe even a little bit better when you put the front seat a little bit higher, because I would better fit in this recess than here. There are some pockets here at the back side of the seats, maybe like for the smartphones, for the kids or so. And it's still reasonably comfortable here for a compact hatch in the rear. Also, the rear seating bench and so on, and the headroom is also once again okay. Do you guys remember when we were exact in this location here at Volkswagen Autostadt with all the VW SUVs, and it was super freaking cold? Today it's really hot, and the temperature difference from then to now is about like at least 40 degrees Celsius, if not more. Yeah, that's the world of contrasts. Is it also here with the GTI? Let's find out. Here, flipping the logo, opens the trunk. That's really good. And also with the square dimension, it's just a compact hatch, but very well usable trunk. Below here, you can also put a replacement tire if you want. There's some sound equipment in there. And here then you also have an almost even loading sill. I already folded one of the seat, 2/3, 1/3 split, or with the ski hatch in between. Welcome to Thomas's Active Driving Lounge, Sports Mode, and yeah, that accelerates quite well, doesn't it? So you just have to put it in the S mode, the sports shifting mode, and then that's it. And when you're finished, you can pull it once more back in the D mode, and then you're just back for the normal driving. You can always at the same time here use the shifting pedals to go in the manual shifting mode like this, and when you want to go back to a normal mode, then you just hold the right pedal, and then you're once again back to the D mode. And yeah, the first thing I realize, to comparing to the older Golf, there's one in front of us, that's the variant, indeed they have stiffened up that chassis. Oh no, behind us, people are already watching. Oh, that's the new Golf GTI. They're like, oh, what's that? What's that? Yeah, especially here, because even in Wolfsburg, I mean, hardly anyone has seen the new Golf 8 as GTI, definitely. So they stiffened up the suspension, and we definitely do feel that. However, with the DCC shown to you earlier in the interior part, we can also, vary quite a lot depending on the driving mode we're in. So here in the comfort mode now, for example, the DCC is quite soft and also forgiving, as when we're driving over some bumps and so on. So this is a very good everyday driving setup. And they promised us a lot from these individual controls, and I really want to see now when we put it all the way to comfort, the DCC. Let's see if that's even a bigger difference than to the normal comfort. Let's see. Now let's first go to comfort. So then individual. Yeah, it's at the moment combined with the sporty setup. As for the shifting, that's what it's a little bit strange. Then you have the very comfortable suspension setting, but then everything else set here on the sporty tone. That's a little bit irritating, but still, you know. So this is in the comfort mode. Then it's interesting. So yeah, it's even a little bit softer indeed, so that does work, it is noticeable. However, the car always gives you a very balanced feeling, you know, always a good compromise between sportiness and comfort. And that's also what the GTI has always been. However, if we now compare it, when it's really interesting, when I control the DCC, then it always goes back to the S shifting mode. Interesting. So here now in the sport preset, definitely stiffer, good control. And now to the sportiest setting. Yeah, even a notch sportier. So when now I will go over some bumps, then you definitely notice them. And now the biggest variation here from sports back to the comfort. Yeah, that's really a big difference. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you can play around with that and you can find your individual setting, definitely. But usually, again, I think people would make it easy and then use the presets here, the comfort or the sport here. So I'll leave it for comfort for now. And here the steering input, they also worked on that you have even less steering angle, so you can always keep both hands at the steering wheel in combination here with the DSG, the dual clutch transmission, and that's very easy thing to do, easy thing to drive. Here now on 90-degree corner, and look at that, how the steering wheel is being turned, exactly 90 degrees. And so that's really cool, so you don't have to oversteer, you know, with the steering wheel. I mean, this is really a great setup. You have a fine feeling for what you're doing. At the same time, you don't need too much power, but it still feels very natural to steer the car around. So that's really good. And that's 180 kilometers an hour, easily reached, nicely done. And so race drivers and engineers promise us that the difference from the Mark 7 GTI to the Mark 8 GTI is more crucial the faster you drive. And I can say it's true. I mean, this is a compact hatch, but it's so calm and collected and sovereign on the road, even at higher speeds. It is also still very silent in here, now at 160 kilometers an hour. Wow. I mean, this driving wise, from how, you know, how collected it remains here at these higher speeds, it feels like 1 or 2 segments above. This is really astonishing. What a great engineering job here. 170 kilometers an hour, I just used another lane change. It's incredible. I mean, I'm driving a still comfortable suspension here in the sports mode, but yet the car is not shaking at all. Wow, I'm really, really impressed what they've done here. And indeed, this is here when you drive really, really fast. I mean, you felt comfortable before with the Mark 7, definitely. But here in the Mark 8, this is really, you know, really a step further. So, you know, the way I'm sad about the user interface and the software, the more impressed I'm really about driving this vehicle in the new generation. And I really hope they can fix software stuff, because, I mean, you cannot change the chassis afterwards, but they can maybe put on new software. However, I think there's also even a new CPU unit needed for that. All the software needs to be simplified, that it doesn't need so much processing power or something. Yeah, but at least it's easier to change that than to change the whole chassis of the vehicle, which is clearly not necessary by any means. once again, this vehicle is so much fun to drive, and you don't need a super expensive sports car to be able to... This guy behind me, it's 60 kilometers an hour. What the... I mean, I'm reducing the speed because it says like 3 times 60 kilometers an hour, and the guy behind me is like, can you drive faster? No, I can't, because I still need my driver's license. Yeah. That's bullying from behind. But you know, that caddy shouldn't mess with the Golf GTI. Not in this generation especially. Because as soon as we can accelerate out again, of course we'll do that. So, we're getting on just here. Goodbye. Yeah, there we go. And now 130 kilometers an hour. This is a good way to test the motorway speed at the, standard usual speed level. And once again, the car is so comfortable, I don't feel urged to go back from the sports mode to the normal driving mode. So I'm really once again astonished how comfortable this car is still in the sporty suspension mode, and I think one of the best adaptive suspension I've been driving for a compact vehicle. Yeah, there's this, like for example the adaptive suspension by BMW for their big vehicles. That is really like nothing else. But here, yeah, probably one of the best adaptive suspensions ever built for a compact vehicle. And what about the fuel economy for today? In a normal driving cycle, if you rather keep it calm, 7 liters on 100 kilometers, that's 34 mpg US, 41 mpg UK. And if you drive in a more performant way, then rather 8 liters on 100 kilometers, that's then more in this 30 mpg region. And now to our conclusion for today with the Golf 8 GTI. First of all, from the exterior, a very strong styling here for the GTI, and even just from works, you don't need any additional equipment or an additional trim or something that optional. Just how it comes just from the assembly line, I think it has a very sporty look, and it's just finished. You don't need too many options, also with a performance exhaust in the rear and so on. And of course, very cool look with the fog lamps right there. Interior-wise, great seats, they're very well done. More comfort than before. At the same time, they're also a little bit sportier. That's also a scheme about the whole vehicle. It is more comfortable and sporty at the same time. You do have more handling performance, and especially at higher speeds. The car is more precise, a little bit crisper, even better to control, and so sovereign on the road that it feels like it would have a longer wheelbase and would be a segment from above. So, hardware-wise, probably one of the best cars in the segment once again, definitely. And I can really say even better before. So they indeed have a nice notable step from the 7th to the 8th generation. And the difference here, normal Golf to normal Golf and GTI to the new GTI, is a little bit bigger, I feel, especially driving-wise. On the racetrack it will be even more exciting. Maybe we can deliver that to you at a later stage. Then, sadly, the only downside is the user interface. The software they have on there, the CPU, it's not really suitable. It doesn't keep up with the rest of the vehicle. They really have to fix that, because this is such a fantastic vehicle, really. And the price performance is also still very, very good. So they need to have a suitable software for that. It was good before. They could have left the older one, then it would have been fine. So guys, what do you think? Leave us your comments here to the Golf 8 GTI. Has been a very interesting ride here today. Let's discuss this vehicle. Also check out some other versions of the Golf we have, of course, on our channel. See you there, or see you next time. Thank you so much for tuning in.